top of the morning. We're going to be talking about one thing that's going to affect everybody, and it's been affecting everybody for years already. However, nobody wants to actually bite this topic right in the ass. And a lot of the general public does not understand the problem in this industry. And the government has been talking quite a bit about this problem, and I touched on this briefly in a previous video in regards to the housing crisis. And what I'm going to be talking about today is something that is pretty near and dear to my heart, and it's in regards to the trades and how they keep on saying that there's a skilled trades labor shortage. And so what I'm going to talk about is what I see in the year 2022 and with what politicians are trying to promise with increased housing and increased affordability, yada, yada, yada. Background, I've been in the trade, or I was in the trade for 20 plus years. Was past tense. I got out of it because there are other better and easier opportunities and more fulfilling opportunities in life than being in the trades. That being said, I don't find anything wrong with being in the trades. It's something that you can do forever. You don't have to rely on technology in order to get a job, which is a huge benefit. However, the idea of there being a labor shortage in the skilled trades is not exactly what the general public thinks it is. And so what I'm going to talk about is from the behind the scenes things that I've saw in the 20 years of the trades, and why the government and what is going to actually come out of the solutions that they propose are going to be two different outcomes. Their promises and the actual outcome is going to be totally different, and it has been. So for instance, when I got into the trade, there already was a huge shortage of tradesmen, and it's only gotten worse. However, I see a lot of things that need to be changed from within the industry and from outside the industry as well. And we're going to touch on that. So I'm going to talk about one article today, and this is what brought up this talk, because this is what's driving a lot of the cost of your houses these days, and material for even a regular homeowner to do their own work. So again, links are in the description below, and I'm sorry if this is a longer little rant here. So, skilled trades labor shortage of 2022 and how to overcome it. This is the version of what the government proposes. It seems like a basic question. Is there really a skilled labor shortage? Well, lots of people ask this question. If you are in the trenches trying to keep projects staffing up, you already know the answer. We need to come to terms with the state of our current labor shortage. If you need the stats so you can share them with management, here they are. Unemployment as a whole is down to 3.9%, which is normally considered full employment, with an average of 5.3 last year. This is in 2021. That being said, the National Association of Business Economics, NABE, discovered that over half, 57% of the business conditions survey respondents indicated that there was a shortage of skilled workers in their fourth quarter report. In the second quarter of 2021, NABE reported 15%. In the third quarter, 47%. This means this trend has skyrocketed by 42%, and it shows no signs of stopping anytime soon in 2022. As you've probably seen from the number of help wanted signs in various brick and mortars, this is an issue across the board, and not just for low-paying jobs. Fear of the, I can't say the word, new attitudes are about the workplace and displacement to more suburban areas are all creating a new shift in employment of America. The ongoing struggle of attracting skilled workers or skilled trade workers to the construction industry is a big problem. As you have seen from the data, the uptake of jobs doesn't match the ever-increasing demand for skilled trade staff. Fewer workers are entering the trades, especially among the young population. There is a push for more construction courses, apprenticeships, and trade school incentives. 34% of companies are starting to partner with high school and trade schools to build demand, according to Markham's National Construction Survey. And if you're rightly concerned about your reputation, your onboarding process will at least include background screening, drug testing, references, experience and skills, certifications, and licenses. Unfortunately, this means that the average 24-day filling of positions may be even longer before you get someone in the door. Think roughly 2 months of lead time before you get boots on the job site. Workers still don't feel like they are part of the team, but more of an asset, which from a business standpoint is a dangerous game to play when you are considering the crushing cost of employee turnover. Exit costs. Your HR team now has a flood of paperwork to fill out. Electronic or paper, still painful. If there's any severance packages to consider, and you may be prone to lawsuits, even if it's not your fault. Rehiring positions on job boards and reaching out to your network results in lost time and money. Training and ramp up. Your new hire needs not only the right skill set, but also a primer on how you do business, any safety training, etc. Decrease in morale. Losing a valuable member of the team can decrease morale in the team overall and may result in workers quitting. This may be a hazard period when the new hire doesn't feel welcomed. So I'm going to go over what it takes to get into the trades from 20 years ago to now. I'm going to talk about the environment that you work in from the construction industry compared to any other industry. I'm going to talk about the lifestyle that is involved with the skilled trades and any other industry. I know there's a blend also from construction to other industries, but construction is it takes a very certain breed of people to do it, and there's a reason that it's usually male dominated. Even though that they're trying to push the women into the trades, not that I'm knocking any women that are trying to get into the trades, but hands down the men do a better job. And that's not about being equal or anything. That is just simply men are stronger than women. And so let's get into the startup costs of what it takes to become an electrician. So getting into the trades, when I got into the trades, I could just go from high school as a co-op student, go and work for a company, and once I'm done high school, get signed up and go to work. All I needed was a grade 12 math. All my other courses did not matter. And this was to become an electrician. I know other trades have different standards of entry. Like a laborer, you just need to be a body. A bricklayer, you need to just know how to do basic lines and corners and things of that nature, right? So there's different levels. So nowadays, and all I had to do after that, after I got in, was 5 years in apprenticeship. That's working on the tools, and then go to trade school for a couple months so it was 6 months in total of trade school, and write a test, and you're pretty much done. Nowadays, you need to finish a few different courses in high school, you also now need to take a college course on top of that, like as if more schooling is going to teach you things right on the job. And so once you go take college, now you have to go and buy all your tools. When I got into the trades, the companies supplied a lot of the tools, the electric tools, the corded tools that we had back in the day. Now everyone has cordless tools. And a lot of that is paid out of the pocket of the tradesmen themselves, not from the company anymore, which now has put another strain on the tradesman or tradeswoman trying to get in. On top of that, on top of the schooling. So now you have your schooling plus just your basic cordless tools. And if you're going to go with just the basics and a good brand, you're looking at probably about $1,000. Now you need all your hand tools. Let's talk about another $1,000 there. A lot of companies won't provide storage or anything like that. So you need to bring your own job box, your own chain, your own lock. Let's say another $500 to $700 on that as well. Now let's not mention the work boots and the apparel that you need to wear on these sites, because you can't just wear your regular track pants. Now let it be told that there are certain trades that do have tradesmen working in track pants. However, electricians or plumbers or anything of that nature, you will not see it. It's typically drywallers or painters, which, you know, I can kind of understand, but not really, because, come on, like, look professional. So typically if you need good work boots, and I'm talking about your summer and winter. So you need boots such as these, and that will run you about $350 just for that set. Then your summer boots that you need are going to run you another $300 to $400 for a good pair. Now you're done with your feet. Let's talk about your pants and your upper part. So you need your torso covered and your lower half. We're gonna say you need 2 pairs of pants, $100 each, easy, and you need a couple of shirts, which is gonna also run you probably about $100 to $200. Then you also need PPE that a lot of companies used to provide that no longer do provide in order to get into the trades. So let's say $500 in PPE. And the funny thing is, if you don't have that PPE, the company who has these rules in place will not allow you to work. Now, I have a couple issues with the safety points, but we'll get into that later on. So what are we at here? $4,000 to $5,000, somewhere in that range? Now, that's not including also any extra safety training or any extra courses that you might want to take. So say you want to take a PLC course, say you want to take a fire alarm course, say you need to take hoisting and rigging, say you need to take fall arrest, which is a mandatory course right across the board. All that is out of pocket for the most part, but it's required by the company. And at one point, those used to be paid by the company, but now are no longer paid by the company, because why? Regulations don't require the company to pay for it, but require the employees to have it. So they've taken the onus from the companies and put it on the employees. So now to get in as a tradesman, right, green, you're looking at most likely $5,000 to $6,000 said and done. That's most likely before you even make a paycheck. And what's the going rate as a first-term apprentice? Or now what they have in the unions too is a pre-apprentice, and non-unions are bringing people in as laborers just to keep the price down and pay them minimum wage. And they do that as a trial run to see if the person's worth it. So let's see, the person just sunk in $5,000 to $6,000, and now we're going to give you a minimum wage trial run to see if you qualify. Listen, this individual just put in so much sweat and equity into becoming and starting that now we're going to start questioning. before they've even proven themselves, before they've even tried anything. And so what I also don't understand is they want people to go into these pre-apprenticeship courses in school, in college, before they get into the trades. I'm sorry, but for politicians and any of these government officials, you cannot teach people how to turn a screwdriver. You cannot teach people how to bend pipe or work physically. That has to be done with discipline. That has to be done with telling people that you cannot be comforted because your back is sore, because you have a blister on your hand. All right? We cannot teach work ethic in school. All right? It has to be done on the job site. So you can educate someone all they want, but until they can actually feel what braided wire feels compared to solid wire, what clay feels to regular dirt, and all that, you know, reading a book or seeing it on a screen is not going to help anybody. So let's move on to the next thing. Your environment that you're working in. The environment that you're working in, for the most part, is going to be hot or cold, not in between. It's going to be dirty, dusty, sweaty. It is going to be loud and usually annoying for the most part. It's going to take a lot of physical toll, mental toll on you as an individual. You also do not have the luxury to typically take days off because there are highs and lows in the construction season. Let's see. There are so many things that come into this that people don't really understand the environment. On top of that, you have to typically bring your own water, which you run out halfway throughout the day, especially in months like July and August. Typically in construction, especially here in Canada, you have to wear polyester tops instead of cotton, which make you sweat your bag off. On top of that, you have to typically wear 6 or 8 inch work boots, which I understand and I support, but you also have to wear long pants all year round. So depending on your working situations, you might be working on the 5th floor of a hospital building on top of a 12-foot ladder trying to drill into the concrete with all the windows put in and no ventilation. Now that ceiling space is going to be probably like 50 or 60 degrees Celsius. I'm talking, sorry for any of my US viewers down there, but I'm talking Celsius. So you're sweating your bag off, all right? So the environment is not very good. Now also, you could be a tradesman working in wastewater treatment. So you're working in very dirty, you know, bacteria infested environment, stinky environment, you name it, all right? Look at the lifestyle. That's the biggest one that people should realize, especially now in 2022, especially what we've seen the past 2 years of, 2.5 years now of the whole flu thing going on. So a lot of people now get the opportunity or the luxury to work from home. Tradesmen never do. And rarely do they also get to work in their own city or their own backyard or anything of that nature. Typically tradesmen or journeymen, that's why we're called journeymen once you get your license, because you're going to journey around, because once you start a job, you are working yourself out of a job. And that's how construction works. Typically, the job is the beginning and you're working your way out, because once it's done, now it's up to the company to have more work for you. And if you don't work or perform or tote the line of the company, they will lay you off and now you are done. So a lot of the people in these office environments, they don't understand that. And there's also people in construction that work in the offices or in the shops or stuff like that, that operate on a 7 to 8 schedule, or 7 to 3, so 8-hour schedule, Monday to Friday at the shop in the one location, but they don't consider the workhorses that are out in the fields, bouncing from site to site, eating their lunches with dirty hands because there's typically no wash up area. They're also eating it in the truck because there's typically no lunchroom provided or no microwave provided, because why would a tradesman need to heat up their lunch on a cold winter day? Why would there be coolers available so that there'd be cold water on a hot summer day, right? So we really don't have that luxury when it comes to the lifestyle. Look at the others that work not on your own level, but your own same pay. So that's just one of my notes I'm going on. So the biggest problem I see in the trades, and I saw it at the journeyman level, so not in the apprenticeship level, because I understand that everybody learns in the apprenticeship level. But once you become a journeyman, there should be a basic understanding of that field that you are a journeyman in. And if there are people that are considered journeymen and hold the same tickets that you do and cannot do the basics of, say, digging a trench or grabbing a piece of 1/2-inch EMT or a piece of 3/4-inch PVC, or know the difference between a male and female connector, or understand the difference between Romex and BX. If a journeyman does not understand the basics between 120 and 240, or 240 and 208, there's a certain level of respect that you lose for the trades. So when you have someone that is at a much superior level than the next journeyman, why is it okay that we have to pay that individual the same? And I've done this with contractors before, and you contractors need to understand this, is that when someone is outperforming the rest of the journeymen and they come to you for an extra increase in pay, you don't tell them that it's the maximum allowed. That is the rate set by the government or the regulations. That is the basic that is set for that title. All right? It is not the basic or the maximum that you can pay someone for that title. All right? So, for example, I had some guy that came up onto a site fresh out of India, 6 months in the country, couldn't speak English, and he had the same license that I had after working 6 years in this country, doing learning the codes and rules of this place. And this guy waltzes in, can't speak 2 licks of English, had a translator for his test, and now he gets to make the same $40 I get to make, but he doesn't know how to turn a screwdriver because it's too hard, right? Because he has Fisher Price tools and didn't decide to buy real man tools, So this is a huge problem. Or how about if you come onto a site and your foreman, who became a journeyman after being a welder all his life and can't read prints, and now you come in there and tell him how to run the job, why should you get paid less than the foreman? We need to understand that. Why is it that when a journeyman outperforms many on site, does that journeyman get required to work on overtime because his performance level is far superior than those other ones that don't perform throughout the week? So it's easier to call in someone who performs well than having someone that doesn't perform well, because we don't want to waste the time and a half or double time that we are paying you. Let's get someone who's going to actually do something. I'm sorry, but if I'm breaking 5 times the amount of work as someone does Monday to Friday, why am I coming in on my overtime when I can do something at home or do a side gig where I can make triple amount of money? We need to ask ourselves this question. Next on the topic here, we are going to be talking about time off. So typically, you don't have time off, especially as a tradesman. If you're a good tradesman, you typically are going to be on demand all the time. So in the summer, you can't have it because you need to be there because it's peak season. And if you're a good person, you're going to be working year round. And because the company's busy and we need you and don't have the guys because they laid off guys, or I shouldn't have that in quotations, but because they laid off guys and they just kept it to a skeleton crew, now you don't have time either. Now, if you're a shitty employee, you're typically only working at the busy seasons and then not working in the winter, fall, spring, or whatever it is. And so you can't afford time off. And at the same time, you're away from home most of the time as a journeyman, depending on what company you're with. But majority of the time, you're working away from home. So you're away. So why do you want to be away from home in the first place? So the idea of that doesn't come into play. And now the final one that I love is the politics that comes along with the whole trades. And I've said it before, the construction industry is male dominated. But I am telling you, men are worse than women these days when it comes to gossip and politics and rumors. And it's embarrassing to see how it unfolds on the job sites. And this goes for both union and non-union. And I saw it huge in the union. You know, we had this it was called the bag lickers ball. So depending on what's going on, you were only invited, or so say there was a meeting of foremans. Typically, to become a foreman, you need to know somebody, and so when there's a foreman's meeting, it's a bag lickers ball. Or the Christmas party is where you go meet the bigwigs of companies and you try and suck up to them to get the next big job with that company. You have it on the non-union side as well, where because it is usually a family-run company, everybody wants to be on the good side of the owners or the bosses, and so there's no brotherhood there. There's a lot of bitching and whining about things, but there's never anything done in that regard. And then also, for example, these non-union companies. So the union companies will just keep with the trend of that they just support the lazy worker, which is true. And there's going to be union guys out there that absolutely hate that motto, but it's true. But when it comes to the non-union side, and I saw this also with family-run businesses on the union side, is you can be a great employee, you can be a great foreman. However, once a family member gets a certain title, they become more superior than you and your knowledge is now obsolete. And so I've seen it firsthand where I made companies, well above their profit margins, got on point and sometimes below, but never lost money on a job. I was typically within 90 to 100% of their profit range, if not above their profit range. And so you get bonuses for that type of stuff, right? However, when family members come into play and they take over your title and become superior, so say you're foreman and they now they write their ticket, they become a journeyman, now they become a site supervisor, so now they know more than you, but they don't. And now they run the jobs and now they're losing 50, 60, 70K lost, there's zero profit and now you're in the negative. Yet the person who produced those profits never knows anything after that day. So we got to get rid of the political side of things as well. And so we wanted to try and incentivize people into getting into the trades. Those wages need to go way up. I know there was there's companies out there that get government grants. However, they don't give that to the end user, who is the tradesman. They keep it for themselves. So companies will take government grants that are supposed to be to incentivize employees, but they pocket the money. So the end employee is still stuck working $30 to $40 an hour as a tradesman on a high end. Maybe you'll get 60, 70 hours depending on where you go, but as just a journeyman on the totem pole, that's what you're looking at. So after thinking and going over all those points, what is the incentive of getting into the trades when that is your wage? When the cost, and you're also using your own vehicle most of the time to drive to location. So now you got fuel, which is through the roof. You also have wear and tear on your vehicle that companies will not pay for. They sometimes will pay for your travel, but in the end, it doesn't cover it, especially with the rate of inflation that's happening here as well. So your wages are now dwindling. And now at the same point, you're making $30, $40 an hour, but when you get your check, divide that by your hours that you worked, and you'll see that you don't actually make that hours, because you lose most of it to taxes or union dues or whatever you're going to have, right? So in order to solve the skilled trades problem, we cannot have people that are in IT making $100 an hour, right? If I'm playing with my life with electricity, why would I want to pay someone to run a website more than me? Or what's my incentive to not become a website producer and make more money doing something safer in an office environment than to go make less money in a uncomfortable environment? Now, as a contractor, because I did become a contractor, I never had an issue finding people. My issue was the skill. Excuse me, beavers are flapping in the back there. I never had issues finding people. My issues was finding good people. And the reason I never had issues finding people is because in the interview I would ask, what do you want to get paid? And say it was an apprentice and he wants $25 an hour, I'd give him $27. You know, in the end, it doesn't matter because I'm still billing out at $100, right? So what's $2 on me? And I know a lot of these companies are billing $100, $200 per hour. Yet they don't want to pay their journeymans or apprentices an extra $5 or $10 an hour to incentivize them to actually come and work. Instead of paying them time and a half, how about you bite the bullet, because we know you're billing out a double time, pay us double time. So if you're billing out $400 an hour, I want my $60 an hour, $80 an hour. Is that too much to ask? But contractors don't see that. Politicians don't see that. They all want to solve the problem, but not actually solve the problem. Now, you might ask, why, if you were able to bill out at a certain, a good money, Andre, did you get out of the trades? Well, like I said, the difficulty was finding good people. And when you can't send people onto a job site to hook up just receptacles and single pole switches, there's an issue. When you have an apprentice that complains about wearing the wrong footwear and shows up the next day to do the exact same job with the same wrong footwear and complains about it, we have issues. When we have employees that you pay more than that they want and can't show up to work because you're busy out there doing things that they shouldn't be doing, we have a problem. And when you're trying to scale and run a business, you have other things to do than babysit other people because they can't do basic human functions. And so we have an issue, and that's a huge societal problem that we have. There's no work ethic anymore. There is no more discipline in work anymore. And you can't discipline employees anymore, because a lot of the times they'll be like, screw it, I'll just sit at home on EI and make more money than I did working anyways. And that's the whole thing we saw in this past 2 years. The government was able to pacify a lot of employees, and a lot of employees did not go back to work. Why would someone want to go back to work in a heated, dirty environment when they can stay at home, play video games, eat chips, and smoke weed, and get paid more money than anything else? So, to solve the issue, there is no one size fits all. My one size fits all, we got to bring these trades, their wages up. The company is billing out 150. That, at regular time, that employee, that journeyman, deserves 50% of that. So the regular starting hour needs to be $75 an hour. That is how we incentivize people to get them into the trades, because there's so many other jobs that pay more or the same for way less headache, turmoil, and political nonsense. Sorry that this video was a little bit longer, but it needs to be addressed right from behind the scenes. Any tradesmen watching this video, do you agree with me? Do you not agree with me? Leave your 2 cents, because I'm curious. I know some of us don't have choices but to be in the trades, but the only way to get out of it is to do more of it and save that money. Like this video, subscribe if you have not, and I'll see you on the next one.